Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm here with this week's astrology. This will be the final week of November, and it marks the shift from introspection into forward momentum. After a deep dive during the Scorpio new moon last week, Mercury and Saturn both reverse course, coming out of retrograde, reopening channels of communication and allowing plans to gain traction. This week, you'll notice a blend of practicality and optimism. Mercury meets Venus in Scorpio. Venus enjoys supportive trines from Jupiter and Saturn, and then surprises us with an opposition to Uranus. Saturn stations direct in Pisces, which I'm looking for. Saturn rules my astrology, so I've been looking forward to Saturn coming out of retrograde. This is marking the end of a month's long review of boundaries and responsibilities. While the first quarter moon in Pisces challenges you to take tangible steps towards last week's intentions. By Sunday, Mercury is moving forward and Venus dives into adventurous Sagittarius. With the moon journeying from earthy Capricorn through inventive Aquarius, dreamy Pisces, and fiery Aries, you're invited to balance discipline with spontaneity and your intuition. So some of the major transits that we have this week, we have Venus trining Jupiter and Saturn. We have Mars doing a semi-square with Pluto, and then Saturn stationing direct in Pisces. We have Mercury stationing direct in Scorpio also. And then we have Venus opposing Uranus, and Venus also trining with Neptune. And then Venus also enters Sagittarius. So we're having a pretty busy week for Venus here on the last week of November. So let's start off with Monday, November 24th, the first day of this week. So we have, interestingly, we have Mercury conjunct with Venus in Scorpio just before Mercury comes out of retrograde here and before Venus goes into Sagittarius. It's interesting because we've got Mercury, the Sun, Venus, and Mars all sort of floating around these last few degrees of Scorpio, kind of trying to go into Sagittarius. They've all just been kind of either going forwards direct or backwards retrograde through this last, I would say, month or so, this last couple of weeks anyways. But yeah, and then we got the moon spending the entire day in Capricorn on Monday, supporting discipline and long-term planning. So Monday's sky is busy from the outset. In the morning, Mercury is in introspective Scorpio, which forms an awkward angle to Chiron in Aries, revealing where old hurts may still influence your thinking or communication. Instead of reacting defensively, look for ways to adjust your perspective. Small tweaks in language or mindset can pave the way for healing. Shortly after, Mars in adventurous Sagittarius, and there's that Mars in Sagittarius that I just mentioned, squares the lunar north node in Pisces, stirring up friction between impulsive action and your broader life path. And we have the north node in Pisces, but to note, we also have Saturn retrograding in Pisces, and we have Neptune retrograding in Pisces. I think that's all we have in Pisces right now with the major planets from what I can think of. So stirring up friction between impulsive action and your broader life path. Use this energy to identify where bold choices might take you closer to your purpose rather than pulling you off your course. By evening on Monday, Mercury aligns exactly with Venus, helping you articulate feelings with grace. Conversations about money, love, or creative projects flow more easily on Monday, and honest sharing can deepen intimacy. So with the moon anchored in pragmatic Capricorn all day on Monday, emotions are filtered through a lens of responsibility and realism. Capricorn moons emphasize ambition, structure, and solid, tangible results. This is an ideal time to lay foundations for future success, map out a business plan, organize your finances, or tackle a challenging task requiring focus. Because the moon is waxing forwards in its first quarter, you might feel an inner push to get moving. Channel this drive into purposeful work rather than pressuring yourself to perfect everything at once. Evening conversations under the Mercury-Venus conjunction can support constructive planning and strengthen bonds through mutual respect. So moving on to Tuesday, November 25th, we have Venus quincunx Chiron, which calls for compromise and compassion in relationships. And we also have the moon moving from Capricorn into innovative Aquarius in the morning, shifting the emotional tone from practical to progressive. So Tuesday begins with a minor but meaningful adjustment. Venus in deep feeling Scorpio forms a quincunx to Chiron in Aries. This aspect highlights vulnerability around love, money, or your self-worth. Rather than ignoring discomfort, look for creative ways to bridge gaps in understanding. Compassion towards yourself and others goes a long way under this influence. There are no other exact planetary aspects on Tuesday, making it a good moment to process Monday's revelations and prepare for midweek opportunities. During the morning, the moon continues its journey through Capricorn, encouraging diligence and steady progress. At 10:16 a.m., it glides into Aquarius. This will be Eastern time. Lightening the mood and inviting its experimentation. Aquarius moons value freedom, innovation, and social connections. This shift can inspire you to seek out new perspectives, collaborate with friends, or try unconventional solutions to long-standing issues. As the moon builds toward the first quarter later in the week, allow yourself to think outside the box. Afternoon brainstorming sessions, group activities, or technological projects can spark breakthroughs on Tuesday. So let's move on to Wednesday, November 26th. So we'll still have the moon in Aquarius, and we have Venus trining with Jupiter and Saturn. Wednesday offers some of the sweetest energy of this week. Venus, still traversing the intense energy of Scorpio, forms flowing trines, first to Jupiter in nurturing Cancer, and then Saturn in dreamy Pisces. The morning trine to Jupiter expands warmth, generosity, and confidence. Excellent for reaching out to loved ones, investing in art, or even enjoying a small indulgence. Later, the trine to Saturn grounds this abundance with wisdom and commitment, making it a favorable time for serious discussion around shared resources, long-term plans for creative collaborations, and relationships can deepen through mutual support and financial matters which benefit from balanced optimism and pragmatism. With the moon cruising through Aquarius on Wednesday, emotions are filtered through logic and community consciousness. Aquarius energy encourages detachment from drama in favor of solutions that benefit the collective. Use this day to connect with friends, join a cause, or explore innovative technologies. Because Venus's trines involve water signs, you may find yourself blending heart and intellect, honoring feelings while also seeing the bigger picture. Group meetings, networking events, or humanitarian activities are especially productive now on Wednesday. If you're feeling stuck, seek input from someone outside your usual circle. Fresh perspectives can lead to breakthroughs. All right, moving on to Thursday. I'm most looking forward to Thursday because, like I said, Saturn goes direct, and being that Saturn rules my entire astrology chart, I have been looking forward to this since July. So Mars semi-square with Pluto on Thursday stirs underlying power dynamics and calls for conscious action. Then we have Saturn stationing direct in Pisces after months of retrograde motion, encouraging you to commit to structures and boundaries that have been honing since July. Now, that's the thing with Saturn in retrograde. You have a period of sort of revisiting and rehoning your projects and things like that. It feels like a bit of a setback, but I've noticed that Saturn tends to sort of spring forwards when it comes out of these retrograde periods, and it's going to be coming out of retrograde in Pisces on Thursday, but it's still going to be in Pisces until mid-February on February 14th. But within this time, it'll be forming a conjunction, an exact conjunction with Neptune in the last few degrees of Pisces, which is something to be looking forward to. So moving on, we have the moon also staying in Aquarius until the evening, where it enters empathetic Pisces, where the moon will then be in conjunction with Saturn and the North Node, and I've forgotten the other one now. Thursday is a turning point. In the late morning, Mars in Sagittarius forms a semi-square to Pluto in Aquarius, hinting at simmering tensions around power, motivation, and control. You might feel a strong urge to push through obstacles, but also encounter resistance. Neptune was the other one that's in Pisces that it's going to be conjunct with, either internally or from others, going back to our description here for Thursday. The key is to act with integrity and awareness rather than force. Later, Saturn stations direct in Pisces, the moment we've all been waiting for, ending its months-long retrograde that began in July. This shift encourages you to apply lessons about boundaries, compassion, and discipline that you've been revisiting. Projects that felt stalled may start to move forward, and commitments made now have staying power. The moon spends most of the day in Aquarius, maintaining a rational, future-oriented focus. In the evening at 7:24 p.m., it glides into Pisces. This water sign heightens intuition, empathy, and creativity. The transition from air to water invites you to move from analysis into feeling. Wind down by journaling, meditating, or enjoying music and art on Thursday. As Saturn turns direct, the Pisces moon asks you to trust both logic and emotion when planning your next steps. Intuitive insights may provide the missing piece to practical challenges. Now, I think that's super interesting that pretty much at the exact same time that we have the moon transiting into Pisces, we also have Saturn moving direct in Pisces, so coming out of retrograde. So it's almost like the moon is swinging by Saturn and kind of saying, hey, come on with me, and just dragging it on. I think that's super cool. So moving on to Friday, the 28th of November, we have, of course, the first quarter moon in Pisces, prompting action on intentions set on last week's new moon, which was Scorpio new moon. Friday's first quarter moon represents a critical juncture in the lunar cycle, 1 week after the Scorpio new moon. You're challenged to take concrete steps toward your goals. Because the first quarter occurs in Pisces, a sign known for intuition and compassion, the action required may be less about external hustle and more about aligning with your inner vision. Trust your instincts and allow creativity to be your guide. You might feel torn between dreams and reality. Remember that small, inspired actions can bridge the gap. With the moon making its journey through Pisces, the atmosphere remains gentle, imaginative, and at times porous. Emotional boundaries blur, making it easier to empathize, but also easier to absorb others' moods. Channel this sensitivity into artistic pursuits, meditation, or acts of kindness. Because the moon is waxing, your energy is rising. Yet the watery environment advises moving in flow rather than forcing outcomes. Pay attention to dreams and synchronicities. They may offer guidance for the decisions ahead. On Saturday, November 29th, we have Mercury now stationing direct in Scorpio, which is lifting the mental fog and offering some clarity. We also have Venus opposing Uranus, which is bringing surprises in love and finances. And then we also have Venus biquintile Chiron, which offers healing opportunities with the moon remaining in Pisces. So Saturn is packed with shifting currents. The headline event is Mercury stationing direct after 3 weeks of retrograde motion. The planet of communication and travel begins moving forward at 20 degrees Scorpio. You may notice miscommunications clear up, technology glitches resolve, and plans can gain more momentum. Use this moment to integrate lessons learned during the retrograde, particularly around trust, secrets, and emotional depth. In the evening, Mars forms a creative quintile to Jupiter, infusing actions with optimism and ingenuity. This is a great time to implement unconventional solutions or explore new philosophies. However, the sun's awkward angle to Chiron can stir self-doubt, acknowledge vulnerabilities without letting them derail you. Later on Saturday, Venus in late Scorpio opposes Uranus in Taurus, shaking up relationships and finances. Expect surprises, unexpected attractions, shifts in resources, or sudden insights about your values. Because both planets are in fixed signs, resistance to change can create tension. A short time later, Venus makes a healing biquintile to Chiron, suggesting that whatever disruptions occur may ultimately lead to growth and a deeper understanding of what freedom means in love. Throughout these events, the moon in Pisces keeps emotions tender. Engage in soothing activities, listening to music, journaling, or bathing to process the day's excitements and revelations. So on Sunday, the moon moves into Aries, which brings a spark of motivation. We have Venus trining with Neptune, infusing the morning with romance, artistry, and spiritual connection. And then we have Venus entering Sagittarius at about 3 in the afternoon, which is shifting relational energy from intense to adventurous. Sunday dawns with a surge of energy. Just after midnight, the moon leaves mystical Pisces and leaps into trailblazing Aries. This transition from water to fire catalyzes action, enthusiasm, and independence. You may wake up feeling ready to tackle projects or initiate new experiences. Early morning, Venus in Scorpio forms a flowing trine to Neptune in Pisces, bathing the atmosphere in dreamy, compassionate vibes. Creative expression, spirituality, and romantic connections flourish under this influence. Allow yourself to be swept up in inspiration, whether through art, music, or meditation. By mid-afternoon on Sunday, Venus enters Sagittarius, leaving the depths of Scorpio behind. In this fiery sign, love and values take on adventurous, philosophical flavor. You might feel more spontaneous and open-minded in your relationships, seeking experiences that broaden your horizons. Social interactions become livelier, and intellectual rapport takes precedence over brooding intensity. The moon in Aries amplifies this sense of forward motion, making Sunday a potent day for beginning new ventures, planning travel, or simply embracing optimism. As November comes to a close, notice how your perspectives on commitment and freedom have evolved through this month's transits. So week 4 of November synthesizes the introspective work of the past weeks and begins to propel you into December. Early on, Mercury's aspect to Chiron and its conjunction with Venus encourage honest dialogue about pain and pleasure, while Mars's square to the North Node prompts reflection on how your actions align with your life purpose. As Venus makes supportive trines to Jupiter and Saturn midweek, relationships and finances find harmony between expansion and structure. Saturn's direct station signals that lessons around boundaries and compassion can now be put into practice. And the first quarter moon in Pisces urges you to take inspired steps towards your goals. The weekend delivers a flurry of changes. Mercury stations direct, clearing mental pathways, while Venus's opposition to Uranus and subsequent biquintile to Chiron shake up stagnant dynamics and invite healing. Venus's trine to Neptune on Sunday morning highlights creativity and compassion just before Venus enters Sagittarius, shifting love and values toward freedom and exploration. With the moon traveling through Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, you're encouraged to balance structure with innovation, sensitivity with action. By week's end, you'll feel a renewed sense of clarity and adventure, poised to embrace December's expansive energy. So that wraps up the final week of November. I'm also going to put out my first monthly video where I'm going to go over the entirety of the month of December. So if you like this video, please like this video and comment anything you have been thinking throughout this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. It really helps out a lot. I'm looking forward to the next one. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here, and take care.